welcome back. I have the Visca Century Arms VSKA rifle, and I'm going to test the rifle to 5,000 rounds. But enough with the bullshit talk.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my initial testing of the Century Arms Visca. Since there's so much drama surrounding this new rifle, I figured I'd go ahead and give it my own reliability test and see what kind of results I get. Since we already have James Yeager's review, and we have Robski's review, and even Tim from Military Arms Channel, he has, I guess, somewhat of a review on it. He's kind of on board with Yeager's combined. All right, so here's the first shots. This is the Magpul AK-47 magazine that ships with the Visca, by the way. It's the one that does not have the metal reinforcements. All right, so it looks like it loaded. Yep. All right. Let's give it a couple shots. There's the very first shot. A little smoky, probably from the from whatever's left over in the barrel. All right. First mag, no issues. As you can see, some of the shells landed within arm's reach of the rifle, and others went flying to another state. That seems to be something common with the Visca. Let's try the good old-fashioned surplus Romanian mags. Malfunctions. As you can see here, I have on my table the infamous Century Arms Visca AK-47, 100% made in the USA. And this is made by Century Arms, if you haven't heard about this rifle. But yeah, this thing is infamous because it's been making a lot of waves out there in YouTube land and in the internet and just in the gun world in general, because James Yeager made a video where he took it out to the range to test it and shoot a bunch of rounds through it, and there was some issues with it right out of the gate. Like at 1,500 rounds, it started to fail. If you watch that video, you probably saw where the gun started to have issues with the chamber here, where they put a no-go gauge in there and it actually closed on a no-go gauge. And the reason why is because the barrel actually moved forward because the barrel pin was loose. And I think they had a minor chip in the wood in the back here. And then that's really all I can remember them talking about, though, as far as malfunction goes. And also the weak ejection. It was, some shells were just ejecting literally just right over here on the side of the gun versus being chucked, 20 feet away. All right, so I took it to the range today and shot it for the very first time. Let's crack it open and take a close look. All right, so on the outside, looks pretty good. The barrel did discolor and change. As you can see there, it kind of turned gray and ashy. I was shooting off of a foam block, and the hot gun kind of melted the foam on there, so don't take that into account. That's just me being a dummy. But yeah, this thing got crazy hot. It was smoking. You could see in the video where it was actually smoking. I'm sure there was residual oils somewhere in here. Even though the gun was shipped to me dry, I'm sure there was some oils in here that was burning off. Also, to some of the contact on the wood, I'm sure it was just smoking in general because everything was hot. Front sight looks good. Yeah, that's nice and tight. The wood, still pretty tight. I don't feel any sloppiness. The gas tube is nice and tight. Look at that. That's crazy tight. The buttstock, no chips, no cracks. Again, people complain that these solid wood buttstocks are not really the best for AKs because they receive a lot of recoil and they crack and they chip. That's why you see a lot of laminate stocks or polymer stocks used on these. But so far, mine looks good. Looking down in here, just initial impressions looking down in here. Nothing looks out of place. Just your normal wear from shooting a gun 200 times. Let's crack it open and take a look on the inside. Alright. I do not see any shavings. I don't see any cracks that just jump out at me. Pretty good. Alright. Spring looks fine. No cracks, no dents, nothing there. Let's take a look at the carrier and bolt. At the front here, looks normal, just has a bunch of carbon on it. It's not bent, it's not cracked, there's no gouges, nothing abnormal, just your typical AK piston. Moving down the body, of course you're going to see normal wear on the finish because it does move kind of inside the receiver there, and that's normal. The tail, this is where a lot of people see deformation on lower quality AKs. The tail on this one looks perfectly fine. I do not see any major deformation. Of course the finish is rubbed off because it's being shot, but there's no peening. You don't see smashing of the metal, deformation of the metal. I do not see that, so that looks pretty good. If you look in the grooves here, just metal upon metal interface, that's it. That's all normal. The hammer rubs here, that's normal. I see some copper almost. It looks like copper probably from when it hits the rounds as it moves back and forth, picking up a round off the magazine. Again, no deformation. Same thing on this side. Looks good. Alright, let's take the bolt out. Alright, let's look in there. I do see some impacts right there, but that's normal. That's where it hits the trunnion. Nothing abnormal. This channel here looks perfectly untouched. That's impressive. A little bit of wear mark right there, but again, nothing abnormal. That channel where this moves back and forth in, hardly any signs of movement really. There's a little bit of impact right there where the lug slides back and forth. That's normal. Again, only 200 rounds, but it gives you a good idea of what parts are going to be touching. Alright, so the carrier looks good. Let's look at the bolts. Bolt. Alright. Extractor looks good. Firing pin looks good. There is some interface marks right here at the bottom of the bolt. Also up here at the top. Also this shoulder right here is shiny. It does not look smashed, it just looks like metal is rubbing against it, and that's normal. Again, almost all the corners here all have some type of rub marks where it's locking into the lugs inside the chamber. That's all normal. In the back here, of course, nothing to write home about. Alright, so the bolt looks good. There's nothing crazy at 200 rounds. Let's look inside the rifle here. I see some shininess from the bolt interfacing with the lugs like it's supposed to do. I see that line that Tim and James Yeager both thought was a crack. It's just a machine mark. I see it now and does not look like a crack to me at all. I'm actually surprised those guys thought that was a crack. It doesn't look like a crack to me at all. It just looks like a line, a perfect line. I can see the feed ramp has a bunch of copper on it. Looks normal. Both lugs look good. They're shiny, and that's normal. I don't see any cracks, I don't see any dents, I don't see any mushrooming or peening or deformation. Looks normal. Just see some copper. But other than that, looks good. Extractor looks good. The rivets look good. Alright. The rails are looking good. Hammer, trigger, spring. Yep. Even back here, the rear trunnion, you can see where it impacts, where the carrier impacts here. Just your normal impact of metal on metal. That's what it's designed to do. Nothing out of place. Just a bunch of carbon. I don't see anything cracked or bent. Nothing's burnt yet. Looks normal. The pins look like they are rock solid, no movement there. Yep, pins look good. Let's look at the pin right here for the barrel. My barrel pin is flush, perfect with the trunnion. And if you don't know, it takes about a 12-ton press to press that barrel pin in there into that trunnion. That's a nice tight interference fit. You cannot knock that out with a hammer. You should not be able to knock that out with a hammer. You need a 12-ton press to make that thing move. James Yeager, obviously his was not the right size. There was some issues with the fitment, and I've already heard the reps over at Century Arms offering anyone who thinks that their barrel pin may have any issues, they'll send you out the paperwork to ship them your rifle, and they will press in a slightly, ever so slightly bigger barrel pin and press it in with a 12-ton press. Mine looks perfectly pressed though. go. Move that handguard retainer up. Pull that out. Looks fine. There's some, I don't know if that's burning. I'm assuming that's burning. Yeah, that's probably burn marks. And that's super hot trunnion. But no cracks. No cracks, no cracks, no cracks. That's a good sign. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is my first 200 rounds through the Century Arms Visca AK-47, 100% made in the USA AK. And so far so good, and of course I wasn't surprised that it was going to turn out okay. It's only 200 rounds, that's not much. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. Please leave a like to support my channel. I appreciate it, helps me out a lot. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about my testing of the Century Arms Visca AK-47. Thanks a lot guys. Take care.